Good morning. My name is Jun Kim. Today, I'm going to talk about the title, kind of like big title, Cyber Threat Intelligence for National Cyber Situation Awareness. This is like quite a big title, so it's probably we don't have enough time. We only have a half an hour, but I try my best to cover the whole story at least in this slide, and then try to convey the meaning that I try to tell you. The presentation will go, first I would like to introduce myself, and then I'd like to talk about the causality, because the majority of people are mostly talking about the correlation, not the causality. But the big difference between causality and correlation is the time. So if you take time into account in your incident response or any analysis, you have to seriously think about the causality. So I spare some time to talk about the causality from this presentation. And once you like talk about the causality, I'm gonna go to next part, like cyberspace as a fifth domain of war. So this is probably most of you are aware of it. Like the major countries, not even a major country, like for example, say United States, Russia, and China, Israel, in Korea, Iran, and Syria, like name like any country that you might heard of, they have all the cyber warfare capabilities and the cyber militaries. So it's not anymore the field for like small research, trust for small research people like sharing ideas. The internet is not anymore those kind of networks. It's a global network, it's a business network, and also it's a cyber war battlefield. So just going to talk about the change, how the battlefield, how the environment has changed, because it's very important. It's only been like 20 years that we have such big changes. But most of our capability like lies in the far behind, which means that this environment changes are very, very fast, but we cannot keep up with it somehow. And then those gaps actually make us kind of hard to defend against a highly advanced attack. So in this perspective, I would like to share some case study of cyber war in Korea. As you might all know that we are technical state of war. We are not actually fighting anymore, like for like say 50 years, but we are technical state of truth. So which means like we don't fight physically in Korea, but there are a lot of like cyber wars going on the underneath, because the like nature of the cyber war is kind of like the profile who's behind the scene. So I'd like to give you some series of incidents we have experienced since 2009. Probably we don't have enough time to talk about them all. So I'm just gonna pick the major like incidents we have experienced and then how we cope with it. And like, then you kind of see that what kind of incident we had so far. And like, since we have like probably up to that point, we covered the incident in Korea, then the mistake we made. And so it clearly showed the limitation of the traditional defense architectures. It doesn't necessarily mean that that there's a limitation in those technical approaches, but it's more like saying the environment has changed, but you are still using the like old technology. So you cannot keep up with the attackers. So you might need to think about that. And then later on that we will talk about extending CTI to similar situation, which is actually the main topic of this presentation. Okay, I'll start from introducing myself. I'm a founder and the CEO of NARUSECURITY, which we are like information security analysis and analytics company. We actually produce some intelligence. We work with the governments, and we do a lot of like cyber incident responses and monitoring we do a lot of things. But our major capability lies in the modeling cyber attack, and then we identify using not for signatures, which is the traditional technology. We also use that, but we mainly focused on the analysis of the network traffic and the log files so that we can identify those unseen or unknown attacks. And I'm also acting advisor of a National Police Agency, and I'm working with the National Police Agency to solve problems. And then I'm also former advisor of the Cyber Command in Korea. And I'm also working as a public joint incident response expert for government. And I teach people in the university for network forensics and cyber investigation. And I also had a kind of award and badges kind of stuff. I've been working in this field for more than 20 years. And then I mean, I started my career as a government security analyst in government organization like KISA, Korea Information Security Agency. And now I'm in private sector, but I still have a close relationship with the people in the public sectors. Okay, this part, I'm going to talk about the causality in cyberspace. So everybody knows causality, right? Cause and effect, right? So what's the cause of the problem, and then what's the effect that we have experienced now? Okay. So this is the the first presentation. Actually, the first presentation I'm going to show, and this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. So I say there's a fifth domain is cyber. So what makes the difference between those 4 and the cyberspace? If you see these pictures, you might know these 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces are God-made. It's like whatever the God is, that it's not created by human, it's created by like some other things, right? So this is governed by the law. It's not made by human. It's a physical world that we cannot actually remove, or we cannot actually erase. So if there's a mountain, then we need to kind of make a tunnels, or we go around. That's kind of like a thing that we have. But contrast with those the God-made world, the cyberspace is man-made world. It's been started late 60s by small group of United States researchers by DoD project, and it was very small, starting with 4 nodes in the beginning, but now it's like millions of nodes, and global network is so big, no one actually knows how big it is exactly. They know approximately. So the big difference is cyberspace is man-made space. So if you know this thing, then we can start this more easily. So if something happened in the physical space, then there's always clear cause. So if there is a say some bomb explode, then you kind of know who installed the bomb, and then what kind of a bomb is there by inspecting that. And it doesn't matter whether it's a space or sea or air, we can clearly see the cause and effect. But in the cyberspace, if you go all the way back to the cause of the problem, there's only computers. Probably it's not the end of the trace. Behind the computer, there must be some other computer, some other computers. So you never know what's the real cause of the problem. There's only computers. Computers might be used by regular person in the daytime, but somehow the attackers compromise the computers and they use it in the same time with the malicious purposes. So it's very hard today to see what's the cause of the problem by looking at the origination of the attack. So this is the very famous picture and from Second World War. And the cyber war, any warfare is actually kind of a matter of new technology. At the time, the airplane was a big thing. So they take airplane very preciously, and it's the new technology. So like when airplane flew over and then they bombed the like ships and the battleships of enemies, then it's very effective warfare at times. But but there's also anti-aircraft warfare. So if they come back from the battlefield, they examine very carefully for those like the bullet, like see all those red dots. That's actually the when the bullet went through. So they try hard to make it like harder for those red dots. But no matter how hard they try, it never gets better. So people try to think what was the problem. So they realized the airplane got hit in the critical parts, like say in the green boxes, and they never came back, which means like only got hit by some uncritical part coming back, and then they try to make it better on those parts, but in the part is very critical, and then they never came back. So it has a lot of like similarities that we have today. All those antiviruses and all the intelligences and IDS, IPS, and every technology you may deploy and use in your environment, they care for known attack. So everything they probably apply to their, not everything, but almost everything they apply to their apparatus, like or devices, is mostly known things. So when those adversaries like make use of those new technology unseen, we call in this field like a zero-day attack, then it's impossible to actually identify using those traditional technology. So that's why we have to kind of change our attitude toward this the threat. So I want to, using this case study of South Korea, I want to kind of show you what kind of problem we went through, and then how we actually changed the things. Okay. Okay. And this inside. From this section in cyber war case study in South Korea, I wanted to show you some incident we have in Korea since 2009, and the lessons we took from those the incident. Some of the incidents actually nearly like stop our economies, and big the say financial sectors and those private sectors, major services actually went down. It was actually 2009, and some of those attacks actually eliminate or like they wipe out more than like 60,000 computers in Korea, and in one single like wave. So that's probably a like huge attack, probably never seen before, like in the history of cyber war. So I'm going to introduce you some of those experiences we have. Okay, this is a timeline, not everything, but some major one. Like since after 2017, we still had problems, but they become more like wily and smart. So it's kind of like there's a different a trend going on. So I'm going to start from 2009 attack to probably up to say 2017. In 2019, there was a 707 denial of service attack, which was actually, we never had experience before. Because before 2009, we had a like denial of service attack, but mostly it was a bandwidth consumption attack. So we had a defense structure for, national defense structure for bandwidth consumption attack. But the adversaries, they might know that we had a defense infrastructures. So they employ a different kind of attack. We call that as a HTTP attack. They target more than like 65 Korea and America website, and using like more than 50,000 zombie computers. They effectively actually brought down all those services for more than 3 days. And after that, in 2011, we had a 3 or 4 denial of service attack. But in 2011, since we had built DDoS shelter, which can deal with those HTTP-based attacks, then they didn't actually like create a like problem. We actually defend against it like very successfully. But like, but after like after short time, say 2011, like April, there was a non-help hacking. They uses the human vulnerability. There was a contractor of one of the largest Korean banks, and in those computer of those the private contractor, they implement the malwares, and using that they destroy like more than like 100 like financial processing computers at the time, and it created a lot of problems. And 2013, there was a huge attack against the Korean like broadcasting industry and some public institute and private institute. They infiltrate using the, now it's well known, the software-based supply chain attack. They they wipe out more than like 60,000 computers, you know, on a single shot. And then they create a lot of problem at the time. And today's defense like policies and like all those things that mostly based on the attack from 2013, 320 cyber attack. And after that, even though we try so hard, we spend so much time and money to defend against this kind of attack, we even experienced like say attack like telco hackings and defense industry hacking and so many things. So the reason why that we had this kind of problems was we a little bit far behind. Like the attackers always make use of the new tactics and the new technology, like zero-day attack against the, like their target, which is the our Korean like systems. So by only studying their current tactic won't make you less resilient to those attacks will happen tomorrow. So after this like slide, I'm going to more focus on how can we deal with this kind of a problem. Okay, this is the one of the case that we have in our like in Korea in a private institute, at the public institute. This guy is actually like using almost every possible like technology they can use, and they have like so many personnel to try to protect their asset against the adversaries. But attackers first they infiltrate, uses the not direct attack, they uses the secondary attack. So they first infiltrate using the like water holing attack, and once the first one impacted at the first time, they try to like they actually they compromise almost every system inside this organization, not one by one, but by like taking those vaccine servers. Once they take the vaccine servers, and they could compromise everything they connect to the vaccine server using the updation like updation process. Then they had a lot of damage, more than like 300 gigabytes of like compressed documents were exfiltrated. It was one of the most serious problem we had experienced in recent years. And they also had this kind of technology, firewall, IDS, IPPI, sandboxes, CDR, everything, but they couldn't like prevent those things from like happening. So what's the limitation of traditional defense strategy? As you see in this presentation, people say this is the defense, like defense in depth. First they have a firewall, IDS, DPI, sandboxes. Some could be some other things, or some are missing, or some more can fit in these like pictures. But and then they might think all those threats will go one by one, checking each other in every devices. But actually it's not. If you look at it like differently, because it doesn't have a notion of the time. If you put the notion of time in this like a slide, it becomes like this. Because every element in this picture has its own like purpose, its own like functions. So some for malicious like attack signatures, some for bad IPs, some for behavior analysis, some for protocol violations, but not even a single attack have like every aspect of those things. So it's something like this. No matter how many defense systems they install in their perimeters, there's always hole in between. So once they like circumvent those like preventive measures in the perimeters, then what's inside actually there's no protection at all. Now it become better, like since like say 3 or 2 years, like since 2 years ago. But like at the time we had a kind of attack, and they build a wall, like hard wall in the perimeters, but inside the network they didn't have anything. So, but probably vaccine computers of theirs. So what makes the problem? Like I say, there's it's nobody's like fault. It's not the design failure, because like when they design those architecture at the time they built, and it's mostly on like against the threats they had at the time. At the beginning, they had a DMZ, only DMZ, only few computers, not everybody using computers, like say back in 20 years. Then at the time, it's kind of say linear, like only one dimension. So in one dimension, you can put your effort to see everything. Like if you spend some time, you can actually watch probably every traffic coming in and out to your networks. It's less than probably a few kilobytes, few megabytes in a day. So that's not hard. That's when we developed the IDS. But as time progressed, then say probably in the late 2000, like late say 2009 and 2010, then there's heavy use of internal networks, and it becomes our battlefield as a 2D, like a 2D. So it doubles up. So in this field, unlike the one dimensions, we have to spend so much time and energy, like double the energy to protect these attack surfaces. But today, they are making use of something beyond our reach. Like supply chain attack, actually, we cannot do anything for those companies who supply software to our organization. It's beyond our like capability of security analysis or even a security monitoring. So it technically make our defense state a defense like an area like a cube. It's a triple. It's not triple. It's actually like it's a 1 dimension, 2 dimension, 3 dimension. Like exponential growth of our defense like areas or defense volumes. So no matter how much time and how much energy you put in, it's virtually impossible to cover this whole area using traditional technology. So there must be a new technology to cover this kind of environmental changes. So in the beginning of this analysis, we only need to have like one IP addresses of attackers, and then we try to find out the origination and probably collaboration with the foreign government. We can figure out who's behind the scene. But now they are like they're getting bigger and they have more resources, and they probably create the chain of proxies or VPNs and making use of compromised computers. They can effectively hide themselves like in the cloud, like a malicious malware cloud. So this is the one of the picture we have identified in a major incident like in Korea. So they create the infrastructure to infiltrate. It's not a single infrastructure for one line. There's like so many possibilities. It didn't exist before they get into some organization. But once they get into some organization, they create like huge infrastructure, like relatively huge infrastructure in their target organization to do whatever they want to do against them. What makes the difference? This is the one of the case that like you can think about it. Like like internet is not anymore the worst, not anymore like fair space or like trustworthy space. Even United States are looking at all those traffics, like internet traffics, because in United States is working as a like backbone of the internet. So more than 60-70 of traffic unnecessarily went through the going through the United States. So they have a system so called the Fairview. It's actually revealed by Edward Snowden. So if you like Google it, then you can easily find this picture that what they are doing. And also, like say China and Russia, they don't have access to this kind of infrastructures, so they cannot actually do this kind of attack because they have no geographical or technical like advantage. So they try to hijack the internet, or they do some man-in-the-middle attack against other countries. This is the analysis we have done to Korean BGP announcement. Once you see here, there's a like greeny line tells you there's a pass from Canada to Korea, only double hop, like say so 2 hops they can reach to Korea, but somehow the traffic got redirected to some place in the state in China, and then go through the same space. So this might tell you that internet is not anymore the space that you can trust. So you have to actually widen the visibility, and then you have to know more about not only yourself, but like beyond your visibility. So for example, like some company in the state, they provide you the intelligence about like the traffic beyond your organization. So like Comno is one of the prestigious analysis company in the state. They have a product called Agri. Now they call the Reckon. They provide you like vital information of the like backflow of the internet. So if you have some problem of command and control connected to your country and to your organization, you don't know who's behind it, you can probably make use of it. But the problem is, how can you identify those C2 traffics that even doesn't have any signatures, even like doesn't like affect and not yet affect malicious maliciously to your organization? So there is a technology we provide to those kind of organizations. For example, like this is the Zero Trust Tracker, like named the Connectom, named after our brain structures. If you see over here, they have a like cyber kill chain based tracking like capabilities. They track all those, this product track all the persistent traffic, and then they track all the internal like lateral movements, and they track all those the backdoors, and they track all those like data like in and out in your organization like cumulatively. And they also have a 13 network feature analysis for say 6 different features. We say like if you're using this kind of technology, you can easily identify like kind of backdoors. In this example, these backdoors you see here using the 443 well-known HSSL like port. But if you look at this, yeah, it's in Korean, so it's kind of like hard to read. But if you read this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 column, this is the time they being connected. And the next column and the next column is actually telling you the incoming byte and outgoing byte. Only few bytes relative to this connection time, they make this kind of empty sessions. Why? Because they want it to coming back all the time. This is the typical backdoor traffic. And once you identify this kind of traffic, then you can follow, you can actually do you can actually find out who's behind the scene using those technologies that I presented before, like say, like this kind of software, this kind of like services. But once we actually track all the way back down, it connects back to like some countries that you never have expected. So once you finish this kind of total picture of those attacks, now you know how can deal with this problem. So this is the kind of fact I wanted to deliver today. So it's not enough to only do analysis in your organization, and it's not enough to only the analysis only by intelligence companies. So you have to like put those things all together in a timely manner and sequentially, and you probably complete the picture, and then you can probably start to solve this problem. Thank you for your like attention, and I hope you have a good day today. Thank you.